Hi, I'm Maya Dion. I'm head of clinical at Sword Health and a licensed clinical psychologist.
I'm Josep Pombal, senior research scientist at Sword, where we're building foundational models for mental health support. And today we're announcing MindEval. That's the first expert-validated benchmark for multi-turn mental health support with LLMs. And MindEval is the product of, I think, two very important things we value in the team. First, evaluation.
Yeah.
We know that we will not be able to improve systems at things that we cannot measure. And second, collaboration with experts. And that's where you, Maya, and the rest of the team come in, where we know that to achieve these better systems, we need to work very closely
Right.
with experts. And MindEval, I think, is a testament to that. And it comes at an important time for mental health and LLMs.
Yeah, it really does. I think the truth of the matter is that millions of people are already turning to LLMs like ChatGPT or Claude for mental health support, and they are not purpose-built for mental health. And so they tend to fall into what we call LLMism. So these are predictable patterns of behavior that can be very counter-therapeutic.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people will relate, for example, with sycophancy, where the model flatters us all the time, and we can always get models to agree with us and tell us we're correct. And this might be okay for some tasks like coding or text editing, but it can be very counterproductive for therapy.
Yeah, therapy is a lot about insight building. So, looking at the ways in which our thinking patterns or behavioral patterns might contribute to moments of stuckness in our lives and shifting those. And so, it really does require to look differently at those patterns.
And therapy can also take a long time.
That's right. It doesn't happen in the context of one interaction, it is over the course of weeks, months, over time.
So this time aspect, I think, is what is reflected by the term multi-turn. So these interactions we want to evaluate, they're not just a question and an answer from an LLM. They are back and forths that can take several days. And also therapy is very context heavy. So each patient is unique. They have their own background, their own personality, symptoms, etc. And the model has to adapt to that on the fly. And this is very different from tasks that have a single right answer like maths or code. Therapy does not have a single right answer at all, right?
Yeah, and there hasn't existed any benchmark for evaluating clinical performance of an LLM.
No, so existing evals focus on testing book knowledge, mostly through multiple choice questions. And at best, they assess the quality of a single response to one patient question or request. And this is obviously very different from what we're targeting. I'm sure that in your PhD, Maya, you weren't evaluated just with multiple choice tests.
No, there was a lot of observation and evaluation of clinical performance across different areas. So, certainly clinical accuracy, but also things like rapport development and maintenance, ethical performance, professional boundaries. So, all of these are areas that we need to be able to evaluate a performance.
So this is exactly what inspired MindEval. So the way MindEval works is, suppose you have an LLM that you want to evaluate as a clinician. We have that LLM interact with a series of simulated patients that are simulated through some context about the patient. It's very detailed, so with a backstory, personality, symptoms, etc. And then we have a third model, we call the judge, evaluate each one of these interactions according to a set of real-world clinical supervision guidelines.
That's right, that we're really guided by APA as well as academic supervisory guidelines and rated on a scale of 1 to 6.
And we also added this rubric for AI-specific communication quality precisely to catch those LLMisms that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. These are like the anti-patterns, the things that we don't want to see an LLM do in a mental health support context.
So MindEval is really validated by experts through and through. So on the side of the patient simulation, we had a team of psychologists also simulate patients like you would do in mock sessions.
Right.
And we compared the text they generated to LLM-generated text to assess realism.
Yeah.
And then on the judge side, we also had a team of experts score a few interactions, so actually go and score each criteria. And then we compared the scores from humans to the automatically generated ones and found some pretty reasonable correlations.
Yeah, we did. Do you want to share some of the results?
Yeah, sure. So after validating the benchmark, we went out and evaluated some frontier models like Gemini, Claude, GPT, etc. And we found that all models scored below 4 out of 6
Right.
on average. So this is pretty weak performance. We also found that scale and reasoning capabilities did not necessarily lead to better performance, contrary to what you might find with coding and maths. And we also saw that models seem to struggle when interacting with patients with more severe symptoms.
Yeah, and that really does align with what we were starting to see qualitatively across LLMs. There was a tendency towards excessive verbosity. So, really, the LLM clinician delivering too much information in a single response. Over reassurance was another one we tended to see, keeping the member in their comfort zone, so not trying to shift thinking or behaviors, as well as oftentimes asking too many questions or offering too many options in a single response, creating an analysis paralysis.
And this is exactly part of that customer is always right attitude that might be fine for some tasks, but doesn't work at all for therapy.
Yeah, that's right. I think at the end of the day, what we found were that even these frontier system LLMs are not ready for unsupervised mental health support.
So that's why we're here. So we think MindEval is a first step towards that direction of building better methods and better systems for mental health therapy. And we are releasing the paper. Obviously, it has also a nice detailed limitations section, and with a lot of input from experts as well. And we're also releasing all the code and all the data in our GitHub repository to foster collaboration from the open source community, because we know this is the step to sort of build the foundations to build better systems.
That's right. And if you're interested in learning more about our paper, but also about how we approach AI safety in mental health, we do have a webinar that we're doing on December 10th, and we'd love to see you there.